So with this Faversham Creek scene, I have lifted out reflections with a flat nylon brush and a little water, and I've also drawn rigging and other lighter detail using a white pencil and a rule to give a suggestion of rigging. So I'm looking at the last thing probably to do would be to put in some reflections and try and achieve a sense of the rippling on water. This is with a sort of pale ochre colour, ochre and ultramarine, and a natural fibre brush, which I think would be better for this purpose. So I'm going to try and make the lines or the reflections a bit thinner further away. It's a sort of zigzaggy mark and a little bit denser or more sparse and denser coming forwards with those almost like a dead calm on this creek. So through here, although there's a lot of blue around, there isn't much blue in the reflection, it would seem. So there is some colour cast from the reflection of a tree, for example. It should be casting a slightly greenish colour. That's just a side to side and then a zigzag movement, something like that, just letting it go a bit. And sort of broken bits of reflection. A little bit darker coming forward, so this barge should have a gap along the water's edge. And this darker shape of reflection. Should be some darker colour there too for that's going to be a reddish colour. Sort of muddy darker colour through there possibly. I'm going to move this along, and I suppose there is a sort of mirror that I've marked from the reflection from the building rather to the reflection, and thinking of how that is a little bit interrupted in places, the reflection by, say, breeze on the water surface. Something slightly darker in there, a little bit darker there, but it's not a perfect mirror, this. So I'm aiming for a little more contrast, difference between light and dark, and perhaps a touch of bluey grey here. Sort of break that up. The natural fibre brush is better for this because it's just produces more varied edges, more varied lines. That might have come down a bit too far there. There should be a relationship between the height of the thing being reflected and the depth of the reflection. But there is a complicated bit of physics there to do with the distance from the viewer, the angle of the viewer, etc. But in this case it is more or less a mirror, so that should be a little bit more broken up there. With that light area. So this is painting wet on dry, and each layer has to have a chance to dry off. So that first layer possibly is drier now. I look for a red, a dark red colour that's perhaps reflected, since all reflections are duller than the thing that's being reflected. The Thames barge here, just to give that a little bit of a hint of red on dry. There. This Dutch barge, give that just a hint of red. Don't want to carry too much water on the brush for this. Get rid of excess water on the brush by doing that. And then having a look at the trouble is that's wiped everything off. Test the colour somewhere else first, because this is in the later stages of making the painting and just becomes more difficult to make changes. Better. The slightly red roof of this building, it's just a little hint of red there. I think that's enough. And deeper blue for the near boat. So there's a boat on the right here that's reflecting. It's very close and should, in theory, be reflecting. So slightly zigzaggy movement, but also side to side, trying to count for the some across there. The ochre grey as well. Some areas that are nearer would reflect slightly darker colour. Areas that are further away, I think, just part of the illusion of space to make those seem more distant. Yeah, let's have a look at that. So it's meant to be an impression of a fairly still water with some sense of movement. and trying to limit the amount of bright colour in the reflection. So that would reflect a slightly more green colour, just there possibly. The important thing is to let light into the reflection to allow for the suggestion of a ripple in the water, a little bit of movement in water. So that's regardless of the colour really. It consists of troughs and peaks, and the troughs are darker in theory, but that's a momentary glimpse of something, and the peaks are light in theory. There should be a little touch of red in there. Let's lift that off. So these red roofs, maybe just a suggestion of red. This one. I'll use a piece of paper to get alignment with this, so I'll line that up. Measure the distance from the water line to the top of the building. Come down. That's more or less where that reflection ought to be. Let's do that again. So it ought to be a little bit more there, but it can't be much more. So I'm going to put it there. There, a light pencil line. So there should be suggestion of red reflection there. Yeah, that's about it for that painting. Some of the details of the rigging I've added with pencil, but mostly it's leaving out. Some of the detail with rigging I've drawn with a white pencil on top, particularly where the lines cross dark areas. And in the clapperboarding and the building, I've used a pencil line to try and suggest vaguely, just a graphite pencil in those areas to bring this a little more into detail. Yeah, that's it from Faversham Creek.